Hello everyone and welcome back to Brick Rigs. This is Evan and I'm here today to showcase the Bumblecrow. Now this, you probably saw it if you watched my SPG 1000 P8 or whatever. Yeah, if you watched that video, then you will have seen this in the background. And of course you will have seen this tank as well, right here. These are both from a movie called, and I guess also an accompanying manga, Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, which is very good. I would definitely recommend it, even if you, like, you know, it's cool, and it's not, like, super weird like a lot of other stuff is. But anyway, the plane itself is enormous. As you can see, it's dwarfing the editor and some of these buildings over here. And it's just wingspan alone, it's just massive. Recently, I started adding these little gun turrets in here. So it's got 7 gun turrets in total. 5 machine gun ones that are like this. They're all controlled by buttons, so you can just be free walking around in the cabin. And I will be giving you a tour in a bit, so don't worry about that. Yeah, we got these machine guns here. Then we got cannons at the waist. There's 2 of them, one on each side. Yeah, you got machine guns, cannons, more machine guns, and then another machine gun here at the tail. And then up here, there's a little hole that goes into the bridge where you can just stand up here and use an assault rifle or something like that to try and fend off enemy attacks. Although, I'm going to be really honest with you, if an attack gets anywhere close to this thing, you're in big trouble, because this thing is loaded to the brim with lots of fuel. It has got a ton of fuel. So, yeah, as you saw there, I actually didn't mention as I walked up, but it's got little doors on each side, here and here. And then it's got the main door over here, which is for putting armor inside. So it can actually transport a tank, believe it or not. Now this plane looks absolutely massive, and it is. But because it's made of mostly foam, aluminum, and plastic, it's very lightly built, and so it actually only weighs about as much as this tank. So when I load the tank onto this, it's literally doubling the weight load of the plane, which does cause a noticeable drop in performance. But for a bit, we're just going to go around through the hallways. So this is the right hallway. You can see there's this little staircase that goes down into the main cargo hold here. It's got cargo hooks, so you can hook up your tank and make sure it doesn't fly into the back, because back here is, of course, where we store all the fuel tanks, behind these plates here. And we don't want that to get bumped, because then the plane goes boom in a very satisfying but very unfortunate way if you happen to want this plane for something. But anyway, so up here we got one of the one of the forward gun positions here. These all the guns that you can operate on here are operated with 3 buttons. One on the gun, which turns it on, and then you can turn it with another one, and then elevate and depress the gun with another one. It's not optimal, but I don't want to have people standing in seats and stuff all the time, because then when you get out of the seat, you like get thrown out of the vehicle, which is something I really hope that gets fixed in the future. But anyway, we've got, these are the waist cannons. The elevation's a little bit slower because you want to be able to actually aim. But it's just a single HE gun with a barrel on it, so it does okay. If we move further back, we can see there's another staircase that goes into the cargo hold here, and the second set of waist guns, which are on each side in this little alcove here, and across the way over here. Yeah, so the hallways are identical mostly on each side, except for that one's got a staircase that goes up and this one does not. So if you want to get to this hallway, you usually have to go around that way. You can do some fancy jumping Like if you jump up here and then you jump up here, but it's kind of cumbersome and you can't do it while the plane's moving, that's for sure. So you're better off just going around. So if we go up this, you can see we're in the bridge now. We've got a speedometer and altitude, whatever. I'm not going to try and say that, but it's for altitude. Speed, altitude, roll, and pitch. Of course, we got a little nameplate. Here, let me turn on the lights, actually. I forgot to mention, it's got lights. My buddy, Zerg guy, did up the lights for me, so... Because I had a whole lot more lights than needed to be there, and he's like, this is going to cause so much lag. And so he sort of helped me out with the lighting a little bit. Yeah, you can see the little nameplate here. Dan Thorne Stoneworks. This switch here, if we activate that, you can see it opens up the front of the plane. The actual floor of this part drops down and becomes a ramp, and then these doors open up so you can drive an entire tank in there. And we'll get to that in a bit. We've got a little signal lamp here. Let me get a spot where you can actually see it. So, that little light up there turns on when you hit the button. So it's supposed to be like for Morse code signaling or whatever if you're feeling especially role-play-y that day. So we got up here, this is the sort of, you can spray with whatever, but for the most part it's just a way to get into the cockpit easily without having to teleport or go up through the entire ship. So yeah, if we go down this ramp here and across the way, we come to this is a little boiler room. And of course this is all right above the fuel tanks, so not a very good place to be. We've got this little area back here, which is something that Zerg guy also worked on for me. It's just a little tiny like bar lounge thing. So I really, his interior design is excellent. So I was like, hey, can you make this for me right in the back? And he was like, sure. And it was good. It's good. It looks great. It's got a nice little lamp there. Got some glasses and a big keg. He's got his little plate there. Barn lighting, courtesy of Zerdcore. Yeah, you can go. That little dial there is actually bound to, I think, acceleration. Not entirely sure. I don't remember what I bound it to. But anyway, so that's sort of this floor. So now if we go up to this floor up here, this is where most of our crew accommodations are. There's a further gun here at the back. And if we go through here, you can see we've got a couch, a table with a nice big slab of meat on there and a cup. And then in here is the captain's quarters. I'm not going to get in the bed because it'll launch me out of the plane if I get out. Just because Brick Rigs. Yes, that's captain's quarters, and then over here we've got some bunk rooms. There's enough seats on this plane between the cockpit and this living area right here to actually accommodate a full server. Why can I not? There we go. So you can get all 16 people and a full server onto this plane without any of them being just standing around. Yeah, so we're going to go down. Ah, that's right. There's one of the most important rooms that I neglected to show you guys. And it's right here. It's the bathroom. It's right here in the cargo hold. So it's kind of away from prying eyes. But yeah, so you got like a toilet. Yeah, the seat's a little spazzy right now. And then you got a little sink here. I'm actually pretty proud of this sink. I think it looks nice. It is fairly compact. It also kind of looks like a face. Anyway. Let's get a tank in here, because that's what this thing is really originally built for. Well, first of all, just to sort of emulate one of the coolest airship designs that I've seen in a movie, but also to park tanks in it. Now, this is my latest version of the plane, and so it can actually fit this tank in. in previous versions, I had to use the smaller version of the tank, which, of course, didn't have quite as much fighting power. Yeah, so I'll show you guys how to actually do this. So we want to line it up pretty squarely so it doesn't break anything, because what we're actually going to do is we're going to pull it up into the plane. So if we, oh boy, that's fun. Let's see this side. Okay, we're just going to cheat a little bit. There we go. I don't have to go up around through the corridors and all that. So what I usually do is I grab this tow hook right here and I attach it to as close to the center of the vehicle as I can. And then you can do it from the cockpit or you can do it from down here. But you want to then, of course, disengage the brakes of whatever you're using. And then you're going to use the actual winch for being a winch. So, yeah. Up she comes. Okay. And let her down a little bit. Okay, now we're going to want to attach these other ones to the back here. And of course, we're going to go around and do this to the front as well, just to make sure it is very well tied down, because we don't want this vehicle deciding that it's going to go for a little walk inside the cabin. That's a big no-no, as you can imagine. With any large, heavy object rolling around inside of a barrel of explosives flying through the sky. Yeah, a big part of what went into designing this thing was making it specifically to explode in really spectacular fashion, which in hindsight may not have been the best design decision. However, it is at least realistic to what happens to them in the movie, because gosh dang, they look really cool when they're exploding in the movie. But, like, and I guess in the manga too. But yeah, I just sort of wanted to pay homage to the fact that in universe for these suckers, they really are not on the tanky side of things. They can carry a tank, but you don't want to get this in a brawl. So anyway, we're gonna taxi on over. The wheels, the steering for the landing gear, which is just a huge set of wheels on the bottom, is its opposite for driving. I do that with most of my large vehicles. I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe, I think it started out as I didn't want people to just steal my creations and immediately know how to use them. But eventually it just sort of became something I was used to on my larger vehicles. So, okay, it looks like we're ready for takeoff. And let's go. So, yeah, I probably should have said volume warning for those who have ears, you know. But this thing has just a ton of engines, so it can speed up pretty quick, and it's got a very nice climb. You can climb pretty quickly. Let's just pause the game and see how the tank's doing in there. Should be fine. Oh, looks like one of the tow hooks came off the ceiling. Uh-oh. Well, things are already going wrong, but yeah, that's not supposed to happen. Usually it's fine. Of course, it's not fine when I actually need to show it to people, but I've done this a lot, and usually it works a-okay. I'm not really sure what's different this time, other than Murphy's Law. Yeah, so let's just sort of bank around. The tank should be intact. And none of this is in God mode, which is really impressive for, I would say, most cargo aircraft. Because this game treats collision physics like it's a joke, so... The fact that I haven't exploded by this point is, and I'm in a foam like, I'm basically in like a cardboard plane. So, yeah, and it doesn't really hurt that this vehicle, these two vehicles were sort of designed around each other. Let's see if I can slow down enough to make a landing here. Maybe? Oh yeah. Perfect. Yeah, the landing gear being massive wheels really does help with being able to land, take off, and land again. You know, just reuse the plane more than once, like a lot of planes tend to be. Because like with a lot of them, you get in there and then you fly it once, and now it's basically permanently broken in some way, and you can never fly it again. Okay, and it looks like we're going to need to detach all of these because it looks like it did break the towing hooks, which is unfortunate. Though I don't know if that really could be helped. Looks like the machine gun fell off at some point, so I can't really find it. It might be somewhere in the... Yeah, I think it... Yeah, there it is. The roof doesn't usually fall in like that, so usually that's not something you have to deal with. I'm saying usually a lot, because this is not exactly the best example of this. But as you can see, you can definitely tell this is not in God mode, or the other plane, and they're both relatively fine. I mean, this definitely is going to need some help. We might just move some of these offending pieces out of the way. Come on. Need to clear up some space in here. Actually, you know, it can fly in this condition just fine, so we're gonna leave the tank and we're just gonna take off. Ooh boy, that wall is... I should not have shot everything. That was not a good idea. So anyway, yeah, this plane, as you can see, is not designed around durability, because if you get hit with anything, the entire thing decides, yeah, I'm going to stop existing pretty quick. In fact, I think we're just going to not fly this off. We're not going to abandon the tank either. We're just going to use the tank to completely obliterate the plane, just to show you how fragile this thing is. So, I mean, granted, this is a pretty powerful gun, but... yeah. So, that's, it's designed to explode that way, so that's not really a problem. But it is a problem if you don't want it to explode that way. So you might have to... There's some fuel tanks that are vulnerable on purpose that are in the sides, and if you really need to, you could remove them. But I think it's much more fun when getting hit at all basically turns your plane into a massive flaming ball of oof. So, yeah, that's... let's just respawn this. I'll give you a nice little flight without the burden of a tank on board, because it actually is a pretty good flyer when it's not encumbered by like another half again, or I guess twice as much weight as it would usually be carrying. So yeah, we're just gonna take a little flight here. Additionally, another nice thing, when you're not carrying a tank, these two systems that I have yet to explain actually do work. So if you get your roll nice and stable and your pitch about where you want it, hitting X will turn on pitch controls, or I guess automatic pitch control, and as you can see, there's a little tiny flap right there that is doing a little bit of micro adjustments to keep us on the same pitch. For a while, I did not have this, but recently I implemented a cruise control as well. So you get up to whatever speed you want. Let's say I want to be at around 300, and then I hit I, and now it will pulse these engines in a way that will allow it to stay around that speed. It will slowly increase or decrease depending on your pitch angle, But for the most part, you're going to stay a relatively consistent speed for a long period of time. So you can sort of, and in fact, in this state, you can get launched off the plane, and the plane will just keep going. I actually found this to be quite useful for weapon testing, because then you've just got a large flying target. It explodes easily, so you know when you hit it, and it keeps itself in the air. So there's not really a whole lot of you know, you don't have to go and adjust it every once in a while. You can just have it flying in a straight line. In fact, if you do it right, you can actually have it just flying in circles if you set the roll to the correct amount, because then it will just keep going at the correct speed and at the correct pitch, and it will just keep circling. I just found this to be very useful for just general use, because then you don't have to pay so much attention if you're going long distances, especially on places like the grid map, where you actually can go long distances and have it be a useful thing. But yeah, it's got lots of reuse per respawn capability, unless you get hit, in which case you're just going to explode. It's got plenty of fuel for several trips to and from whatever world border. I think the other day I was on Canyon, and I flew from one of the, I think it was just the default spawn area. I flew all the way from there to the edge where the actual canyon texture dropped off, and it was just nothingness, and then back again, and I was still only like down half a tank. So there's quite a lot of fuel, and it does make this, I mean, you can see all that's the fuel tanks down there. Yes, this is the Bumblecrow, and I'm going to have I'm actually going to put this on the workshop, and I'm going to have a link in my Discord if you want to download it. So if that's something you want to do, check out my Discord. I think I'll put a link in the description for that, and y'all have a good time. Bye.